Pillars of Eternity, the White March, continues.
What is it?
Welcome back, everyone, to more Pillars of Eternity. We are here in the White March, gathering Questicles. What we do besticle. There's a secret scout location here with a whopping 12 silver loose, worth 3 copper.
What is it?
Don't have a guide to where all the secret locations are. If anyone can find one, good luck, and please send me a link. To Orland bows to you.
The adventurer who saved the village. So good of you to visit my humble wagon. I'm Duran.
How's business? He gestures at the village around him.
Poor like this place, not much coin to be trading in furs and fish. I came to the White March because I assumed there would be no competition, and I have none, because there's nothing to compete out over here.
Would you like to trade?
If you're not making any money out here, why do you stay?
His eyes lower.
I was rather vocal about my inevitable success with my friends and family. If I give up and return with little more than I have left, then...
He balls his hands into a fist.
No, it won't be like that. I'm not giving up yet.
Let's see what this guy's got. We're loaded. We might make his day. Of course, some freeze resist stuff. An exceptional hunting bow, raiment of whale's eyes. Unique light armor. Grants mirrored image when hit by a critical hit. Plus 25 defense against charmed confused attacks, plus 10 defense against dominated attacks. This great cloak is covered in a multitude of stylized eyes, symbols of the god whale. It is said to have been created by the wizard Gorin, who hoped that the pious endeavor might invoke whale's protection, set against the many eyes of the 100 mysteries. Gorin hoped his enemies would stumble after falsehoods, while he would remain resistant to the bewildering effects of the world's mysteries. Those who have come across the cloak since have found much use in its enchantments. What became of Gorin himself is unknown, however, for nothing else remains of the man or his works. Recovery speed is minus 15. This could be a decent cloak for our mage. Let's do some comparison here. We haven't upgraded Lug and Ronstock's armor in forever. It's tough to replace a cloak that gives intellect and lore and all that, especially because the value on this one is 340 copper pieces. Obviously, that's because I've actually enhanced mine with the DR. We could add the intellect as well. This would probably be better if it was enchanted. Yeah, these are... It's definitely better than that. Plus 2 might, plus 2 constitution, but minus 2 intellect and resolve. That was designed by an apprentice wizard who sought to create a perfect magical accessory. He spent weeks binding spells and wards to the material, but when he finished, he felt that it looked rather plain. He wanted to strike an imposing figure for peers and rivals. So he spent a few more days adding embellishments. A crest of feathers behind one ear, a band of silk around the brim. It was an improvement, but it also showed the young wizard how poorly he'd chosen his original color scheme. So he spent a few more days experimenting with the other shades in suede, satin, and leather. While the poor young apprentice obsessed over his hat, his peers continued studying spells and hexes. By the time of the first duel, he had assembled a fantastic wardrobe, but forgotten many of his spells. His Performance ended his budding career in magic most ignominiously, but he went on to become a successful tailor. It's an interesting hat. The Rufek's Watchful Cloak Mark II. +2 enemies needed to flank. +2 perception. Rufrek was a bruiser and a follower of Whale. Often hired as a courier or bodyguard because of his size and strength, yet he was a quiet man, and he was developed a habit of walking with his head bowed in prayer. Because of this, would-be thieves would frequently attempt to waylay him. But Rufrek was blessed by the god of secrets. With uncanny foresight, he dodged and parried these sudden attacks and slow his assailants, sewing their eyes into his cloak. He intended it as a warning, but others saw it as a challenge. Eventually, he discarded the cloak and wore a simpler, subtler garment in its place. The sight of the dark cloak with shimmering, shifting eyes became infamous among highwaymen and bandits. That'd be good for either of our fighters. We have these minor cloaks of protection and such. And cloaks of protection. It's hard to deny the power of having +9 fortitude, reflex, and will as well. Although these get a little bit more value out of their stronger abilities. Riona's Buckle, +5 accuracy when below 50% endurance, +20 defense against disease, poison attacks. This belt bears the marks of Riona, a legendary adventurer who traveled to Ura in search of wealth and fame. When she was young, she trained at a martial academy in Ozia, where she struggled at first. Many of her fellow students came from wealthy local families, but she was poor and foreign. But she was clever, and she practiced much. One day, her chief rival, the nephew of one of the Duke's Bells, challenged her to a duel. A duel. Ooh. Riona could not refuse and save face, so she accepted. When they had assembled in the arena, he offered to give her one piece of his armor before the fight began. He meant it as an insult to her skill, but when Riona asked for his belt, he realized his mistake. He gave her his belt, with his sheathed rapier still attached to it, effectively disarming himself. Riona won the duel by default and kept the belt as a memento. Could be good. Gauntlets of accuracy. +5 accuracy. Some scrolls, some potions. Still need to go get my gems from the Midnight guy. Alright, let's pick up that cloak at least. I'm wondering if I should just buy these ingredients. Just knowing that I'll get some kind of use out of them. Oh yeah, and we have to assign our spells. Some of that stuff we can probably go through and get rid of as well. Booyah. All these different spells to choose from. Can only have 4 active at a time, so... can switch it up a little bit. I kind of like all those. We'll leave as is for now. Yeah, we need to go get our damn sapphires. I drew a dragon scale. That doesn't sound like that's going to be very easy to get. Or bog dragon scales. Of course, we have to be level 12 and 17 respectively for that. Let's go ahead and throw a +2 intellect on it. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's dope. So I think this will be even nicer for Ronstock because once we get the exceptional enchantment on it, which I can go back to Cadnua and do that at any time. Or, not Cadnua, Defiance Bay. This one has a good damage reduction, but that's about all it has. It also, the recovery speed is not as nice, and I don't really care about survival. Alright, I went ahead and bought the Ultimate Hat of Alluring Perfection. I was going to put it on Lug Lug, but he refused to wear it because it was too much of a sissy wizard hat.
Lug Lug not wearing that pussy hat.
So, Lug Lug's going to have to keep the stag helmet for now. But +2 might, +2 constitution, -2 in intellect, and -2 resolve. Doesn't do too much to utter here. It's a good little buff for him, I think, and the value is obviously there. This old helmet just did +1 resolve and +1 perception. And of course our Pelagina, who's an avian godlike, cannot wear that because of her big feather head. If there's anything else in here you guys think I should get, pitch me in the comments. Couldn't find anything just outright. This cloak is tempting. The +2 enemies to flank. Think that might be good on a one of the wizards or something. Maybe even on Eder. Can't really justify the buckle because it's only helps during when your health is low. Okay, Ring of Deflection. So that'll be worth getting because Lug Lug has the minor deflection. There we go. Just spent about 20 grand. You know. So we'll replace the minor deflection with a regular. Damage reduction against burn and plus defense against spells. A minor ring of deflection. So if we're getting into a spellcasters, we might want to pop that ring on. These guys all have minor deflection. And arcane dampener once per rest. That ring actually is not that great. Well, +1 intellect is nice though. So let me sell this ring of minor deflection because we definitely don't need all those.
Well,
Alright, let's keep moving.
I'll find it. Without your help. Not giving up, you hear me? Charlatans!
Alright, let's see what's going on here. Akron. A dwarf paces with his head down and arms crossed, only stopping to hurl glances at the building behind him. His face is smeared dark with grime, and soot falls from his beard as he mumbles to himself. Worked my hands into bloody stumps in this place, and for what? He kicks at a mound of dirty snow. Start with nothing, leave with less. He extends his arms out.
Enjoying a taste of misery, are you? Grow a spine!
The dwarf cocks his head to the side and lifts an eyebrow. With a grunt, his reaction settles into a smile of self-aware irony.
You got the right of it, lad, and my old self agrees. Well, good riddance. Should never settled here in the first place. Some things you mean to leave behind. Come to find out, you packed them anyway. But I'm not leaving until I recover what's mine. They can't deny me again, not after this.
Akron gestures at the burnt-out buildings.
Those sweet-tongued priests took my heirlooms, bury the memory of my past, they said. Now I don't even have that. What priest? Only ones here. They occupied a temple some time ago, picking at desperate folk like vultures. Those priests, Andre's dogs, said the goddess would forgive, that some things are best left to be forgotten.
He nods toward the nearby temple.
Their leader laughed. I believed her words. Another one of them, a gift bearer, took my medallion.
He closes his stocky hand into a fist.
And now they won't tell me where it is. Why won't they tell you? Because they think they know better, that's why. Said it was the only way I'd forget. Why did you want to forget about your past? That was a different life. Better days until...
Okrin closes his eyes and shakes his head. Moots of soot fall into his hunched shoulders.
What else did you give the priest?
The dwarf casts a measuring look at you. He quickly turns his head away and nods.
You understand its value. My armor, a set finer than I've ever seen. But worthless to an old dwarf. I'd have traded it for the medallion. But fool I was, I gave him both. Why would I waste my time with a senile old dwarf who doesn't know what he wants from one moment to the next? I may look like a simple villager now, but there's skill left in these. He curls his fist and slams them together. I'll recover my medallion even if I have to gut those priests for the answers. I'd be surprised if they were willing to return. They believe it's a sacred duty to cast offerings to the goddess in some place where they'll be long forgotten. Better to find where they dropped them, I think. What's Laughter's role in all this? She leads a group of crows. They took over the temple as folk started to leave, came to unburden them. Those that sought to forget their misery here, they say. Tell me about this medallion you want to recover. It belonged to my sister. It was just a pretty trinket to her. To me,
the dwarf cast his gaze down.
She was the last of my family. Last that still acted like family to me. I don't expect luck to grace me now, but if you find anything, I'll be here. Count on it.
He gives you a vigorous nod. Regrets we're trading. His medallion. Sister's medallion. There was talk of some armor as well. Alright, well, before we get too far, we are going to continue talking to the outside peoples. And we'll start delving deeper into each of the Questicles. I don't know where the crazy fish man went.
Perhaps I should wait outside.
Perhaps you should if you're gonna be a vagina.
The dead eyes of speckleback, iron-toothed pike, and frost diver fish gaze up at you. The roasting fish provides much of the pungent odor permeating the fishery. The tattered net appears to have been set aside for some mending.
Just a few minutes more and the fishery would have been burned too. You're welcome.
You seem preoccupied with details, Aloth. Almost consumed by them, I'd say.
Once you've seen a colleague misuse Archimere's capricious hex, you learn an appreciation for details.
This sounds like wizard talk, so I'll just take your word for it.
They've destroyed the stockade, Mother. It's...
Enough. They're gone.
She holds up a hand which is missing the final joint of the ring finger, but it's her voice, sharp and steely, that silences the young man. As he glowers at his toes, she turns to you with dark circles under her eyes and a smile pulled taut across her thin lips.
The deliverer of Cadnua. Thank you for making the journey. Abidan knows it's a long one. Well, I'm sure you wagered on a more civilized welcome. Still, we're much obliged for your capable intervention.
She shoots the young man a brief but stern glare. He pulls a knife from his belt and an apple from his pocket and sets to work.
Charming place like this? I can't imagine why you don't see more visitors.
I won't waste your time.
She folds the map in her hand with a quick and merciless pinch.
Stalwart isn't much more than a grease stain on a map. What roads we've got in the White March are basically tracks in the snow. And for every trader or adventurer that comes through, 3 of our own leave for good. But it weren't always so. There was a time when kings and queens sent their firstborn to these mountains, when the White March was the envy of empires.
Her eyes shine, and for an instant she looks like a much younger woman.
Hey, How the mighty have fallen. What does this have to do with me?
The Pargrin dwarves transformed the White March once. We could bring some of that greatness back to Stalwart. But we need the White Forge.
She raises the map and taps a spot in the middle of the white and gray expanse.
Never heard of it.
Of course. Been over 200 years since anyone's felt so much as a summery breeze near it.
She smooths the creased map.
I'm hoping you can do something about that.
She ignores the young man, who shakes his head at the crackling logs.
Me? Work a forge? Why would I do that?
Told you.
He jerks his chin at Reginald. His jaw is set in the rigid defiance of youth.
If uncovering one of the greatest mysteries of Kith civilization don't light your wick, then think on what's in Durgan's battery. A powerful forge and some of the finest weapons ever crafted.
Now we're talking.
We've been trying to breach Durgan's battery for over a year now. Problem is, the other expeditions can't so much as dent the front door.
She rubs at her fatigued, shadowed eyes.
Tell me about these other expeditions.
A dozen different groups have come through at our request, and several more besides. Been hoping that one of them could clear the way through Durgan's battery. But young or old, green or seasoned, it don't seem to matter. They cast their spells, chisel at the door, and search the grounds until they've worn new treads into the old stone. The lucky ones eventually go home. Plenty more find themselves on the wrong side of a blizzard, or an ogre raiding party.
Why the sudden interest in the White Forge?
We're an old mining town. Or we were until the Adirans pulled out and left us with a half-dug mine shaft and something resembling an inn.
She thumps the sturdy wooden wall with her fist.
Since then, it's been a steady decline. You've seen the roads. Isn't much we can produce that the Valians can't ship cheaper.
It is what we do.
But the White Forge, well, If we could fire it up again and start producing Durgan steel, or something close to it, wouldn't matter if we're in the White March or the Living Lands. Business would come.
Oh, you want me to save the town? We'll see.
She folds her arms and gives you a stiff nod.
I'll give her a stiff rod.
The young man says nothing, but he tosses a silver sliver of an apple peel into the fireplace.
And that's why you need my help.
That's the long and short of it. We're laborers and fisherfolk, not adventurers. But Durgan Steel could put Stalwart on the map again. Open up the mines, bring in new business. We just need the White Forge.
She thumps the deck with her fist.
Why is Durgan Steel so special?
Because you can shave stone with it.
Wow.
Cleave cast iron in two.
Wow!
And the stuff's as rare as it is remarkable.
Wow!
In her enthusiasm, Reginald shifts on the balls of her feet. Wait, Reginald? That's not Reginald. Reneggild? Reneggild? I've never seen that name before in my life. She props one bent arm on the other, pointing distractedly toward the eaves of her house. Steel is steel. It may be light and it may take an edge well, but per Complanca, the legend grows with each passing years.
If we could make something even half as good, we'd have a market at our doorstep and work enough for all of Stalwart.
For a split second, her gaze flickers to Uldric.
How is it no one's gotten into Durgan's battery yet?
Where should I start? Ogres, blizzards, or sheer damned inaccessibility?
She ticks the items off on her fingers.
It ain't for lack of trying, I'll tell you that much. Got untold riches in Durgan Steel lying just inside, and never mind the White Forge itself. The Adirans who first settled Stalwart tried to crack it. So did the Valians, and every other cocky adventurer with more metal than sense.
She folds her arms, shaking her head at the pitted floorboard.
But the place has a funny way of sealing itself up. Front door stays shut, the tower entrances are clogged with rubble, and it's been impossible to blast a way in.
Renegade trails off, and for a moment the room is silent, but for the popping and cracking of the fire.
What happened to Durgan's battery?
It don't bear dwelling on. There's too many superstitions about that place as it is.
She waves her mangled hand in broad crescent, averting her gaze.
Killed each other off. Or so the old books say.
He glares at Renegade through hooded eyes.
Plenty of tales to go around, but none of them open the battery. And the last thing people need is another reason to fear the place.
I fear nothing.
Whatever it was, the other Pargrin dwarven settlements in the White March, Bone Picker, the Hawk, and the rest, emptied out not long after, moved to gentler, greener lands.
Had the right idea, if you ask me.
I don't see why you need the White Forge to make good steel.
Finally, someone talking sense.
He raises his knife and half-peeled apple to the fire in a dramatic gesture of expiration.
Durgan Steel wasn't just good. It was some of the best. We need the best if we're going to keep Stalwart alive.
She glares at Uldric, even while she speaks to you.
No one alive today has seen the White Forge, but the old stories tell that it was powerful, glowed white-hot, and gave off a steady, even heat, unlike any other furnace. Let better-schooled folk puzzle over how the thing was built. I just want to see it put to use.
Tell me about the Pargrin dwarves.
Pargrin's a word in their language. Means traveler. They've been wanderers for generations, but I couldn't tell you much more.
All right. Any idea where I should begin?
The battery's up the mountain to the north. A good hike away.
She jerks her head in the direction of the slope behind the house.
Near Galvino's place, huh?
Uldric says it in a breezy tone, but Renegade falls suddenly silent, consternation hardening the lines on her face. He smiles and draws his knife across the apple again.
So it is. Though I was going to suggest dealing with that ogre camp before anything.
She compresses her thin lips into a frown.
Who's Galvino?
Mestre Galvino, as the old crosspatch prefers it, lives by himself and keeps the wilder and beasts at bay through sheer foulness of his temper.
She means to say he's a skilled smith and animancer, who's lived in the shadow of Durgan's battery for over a decade.
He looks over his shoulder at you and Renegade. And by Animancy's flimsy standards, that makes an expert, doesn't it? He folds his arms.
And he butters his bread on both sides and fits his left shoe before his right. But that's neither here nor there.
She crosses her arms and crumbles the page in one tightening fist.
You seem flustered all of a sudden. Did he do something to anger you?
Me and the rest of the town. He knows better than to linger at our gates.
What happened?
Old lunatic finally went too far. And we sent word to the Valiant Academies. I don't like speaking on it, but if you want to get his guff, just remind him that we gave him the boot.
Ain't nobody here fond of the man, but he's a clever hand and a quick study. It's a fool who thinks he stayed so close to the battery without figuring something about it.
You said as much to the last party, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of him since. Maybe they didn't run afoul of Baragon's ogres after all.
She raises a gray eyebrow at him. Eldrick shrugs and turns back to the fire.
Just watch your step. Galvino's place is a ways east of the battery, and folk who pass it bring unsettling tales.
Tell me about this ogre camp.
Belongs to Flames That Whisper, Matron Baragon's clan. Hunters tell me they've been active of late.
Hunting elk and otherwise minding their own damn business.
He pops an apple wedge into his mouth and chews it aggressively.
Minding their own business. Never mind the latest expedition's disappearance or the broken stockade.
She pinches the bridge of her nose, squinting.
I'm saying we shouldn't agitate him further.
He makes to toss another slice of peel into the fire, but he fumbles and drops his knife. He bends to pick it up, cursing.
It's not my problem if your villagers can't defend themselves. I got bigger things to do.
I'll appeal to your coin purse rather than your sense of charity. Matron Baragon's bound to have plenty of hoarded gear and money. It's yours, if you get rid of her.
Now we're talking.
Also, Baragons like to have whatever the last expedition found. Rumor has it they disappeared near her turf.
She crosses her arms and looks over to Uldric.
Killing a matron will only make our problems worse. The way to approach Baragon is with your hands held high.
The Lord of Cadnua handles matters in a decisive manner. That's why we called him here.
Got it.
Good. Before you leave town, stop by the Grave's Rest. Most visitors to Stalwart spend some time there, so Hafric and his patrons may be able to give you the lay of the land.
Oh, it's pronounced Graves Rest. I was calling it Gruff's Rest.
Don't know about you, but I'm parched all of a sudden.
What's on your mind?
What can you tell me about Farah's expedition?
Who? Sorry, I don't recall the name.
Her brow furrows.
Last expedition I met disappeared weeks ago. Didn't give any names, but they definitely haven't come back this way. Don't mean the Sfeara weren't part of an expedition, though. We get groups passing by sometimes looking to try their luck. What's on your mind?
Tell me about Stelwart.
Adir founded us back in their colonial days to supply ore to the Empire. Saw a fair bit of traffic from both sides of the White March then.
She rubs the nub of her shortened ring finger.
But after the Deerwood claimed independence, Defiance Bay found cheaper places to get ore. Didn't have much reason to maintain our supply routes.
Isn't Stelwart part of the Deerwood?
Officially. Though with the state the roads are in, you wouldn't guess it.
Tell me some of the more important places around here.
Here in the center? Let's see. The Grave's Rest is next door. Hafric can set you up with a room and a hot meal there. The fishery's just on the edge of the lake, and the Temple of Andra is next to it. No one keeps a secret like Lavda. Or so I'm told. A few folk live in this part of town, too. Seemed a lot safer before the ogres broke through the western gate. Thiersch lives next to the old mine shaft, and Tana, the old mine overseer, is next door to me.
She jerks her thumb toward the wall.
What do you do here?
I'm the mayor, or so I'm reminded every time there's a game shortage, ogre attack, or a neighborly dispute. I'm a builder by trade, though. Traveled all over Air Glonfoth and the Deerwood in my younger days, but ended up back here anyway.
She gives you a vague smile that's gone as quickly as it appears.
What's on your mind?
Can you tell me anything about the last expedition that went to Dargan Battery?
They didn't volunteer much, and I knew better than to ask.
She scratches her jaw, frowning.
I've seen all types charging through here. Professional companies with shiny new equipment as brazen as you please, and hopeless runts with nothing but tattered leathers. But these folk, I don't know what they were after, and the way they looked at you made you feel cold all over.
She shakes her head as if dislodging a bad dream.
Wish I could tell you more.
Perhaps we'll find more on the battery itself, yes? He nods at you with guarded look.
What's on your mind? The Pargrin dwarves guarded it like a mother bear. It's a wonder we know as much as we do. What's on your mind?
That's it. Bye-bye.
Something else you need?
What do you know about Durgan's battery, Big Mouth?
It's a fool's hope. A fantasy that's kept these parts inhabited longer than they should be.
He glances around the old house and its worn furnishings.
They say the Pargrunan dwarves developed Durgan's steel, became powerful, rich, and then one day, they locked their doors and died. Nothing like a mystery to stir folk up. Most of Stalwart is convinced that some Pargrin secret will save us all. But that don't stop them from whispering a prayer when they pass the old fortress.
A sour smirk crosses his lip.
Earlier you said I should make peace with Matron Bergen.
About the only thing folk here haven't tried. Killing one more matron won't change things for long.
He shakes his head.
Besides, her clan's flames that whisper. The one that attacked us was Wolf with many mouths. I'd know him anywhere.
They're cut from the same cloth, Aldrich. Only a matter of time before Baragon marches through that gap in our walls.
At the sound of Renengild's voice, Hildrick's shoulders stiffen. His jaw works in a silent but furious retort.
You seem to disagree with Renengild on quite a few matters.
Mother's convinced that a magic forge will turn this frozen crack into a hub of civilization. She can't accept this place is dying. Me, I'd just as soon move on.
He scrapes the sole of his boot on the straight but weathered floorboards.
What do you do here besides bitch a lot?
I'm a carpenter, Mother's a builder, so it felt like a good fit at the time.
He presses his lips into a wry frown.
Not that we've got a lot of new folk to build houses and furnishings for. These days, I spend most of my time fixing up the stockade.
Better get to work on that west gate, too.
Judging from the large hole behind the gills, it can be safely assumed this trophy fish was shot with a pistol and not caught by a hook or net.
Cheater! Aloth wants some free
I'll
XP.
see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Ooh, books.
Any luck with Durgan's battery?
Not yet.
Anything seriously? Or is the entire
looking
world
everywhere
just a
for
setup
you.
for your idiotic punchlines?
The world is the punchline, Birdwoman. In all its weakness. Would you kill the messenger?
If he were as annoying as you, I'd consider it.
Got him!
The man is sweating despite the cold. He opens his mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a loud hacking cough. He bends forward, bracing his hands on his thighs while he heaves and gasps. After a lengthy duration, he raises a finger, still panting.
All Haverick's fault. Damn fool sent me to the other side of town looking for you.
At last he stands again. He wipes his dripping brow with the back of his hand and then offers that hand to you in a greeting.
I will pick my nose and then shake your hand.
He takes your hand vigorously.
You got booger on your hand. Pleasure to meet you. I'm the captain of the militia around here. Really? I didn't see you during the ogre attack. See, I was guarding Graves' Rest. Someone had to make sure those ogres didn't burn it down like they did Katie's house. Damn shame that.
He frowns and shakes his head sullenly.
Wanted to catch you before you went renting off into the wild. See, there's a few dangerous folk you might be on the lookout for. Plus, if you're heading out to Longwatch Falls, I thought you could pick up a thermal pearl for me.
He looks away and twists the toe of his boot into the snow.
You want me to find a thermal pearl? That's the thing. I already found it. I just need someone else to go get it. Saw it in the hot springs near the Longwatch Falls. Would have grabbed it myself, but that's when I looked around and saw the Lagufeth. Must have been 50 of them.
He spreads his arms wide.
Would have fought, but I started to wonder what the rest of Stalwart would do without me, so I ran for the sake of the village, of course. What is a thermal pearl, anyways? They form in the hot springs, something to do with all the minerals in the water. Smell kind of funny, but they're full of minerals. Just have to crumble them into a pint. He grins, and you notice that his gums are bleeding.
They cure scurvy?
Like I said, the pearl is one of the thermal pools near Longwatch Falls. Shouldn't be hard to spot.
Tell me more about Longwatch Falls.
It's east and Stalwart. Got some nice views of the valley, but most of the folk avoid it these days. Plenty of weather nearby, and it only takes a few inches of snow to block the pass. If you're heading out that way, I suggest talking to Thirsk. He might have something to help you deal with the Lagufath.
You said something about dangerous folk.
You get all share of crazies out here. Most of them aren't even from the village. He laughs at his own joke. Latest groups I've heard of with the Gleaming Society and the Sisterhood of the Slagged Skull. But Ren Guild set aside some bounty money to see those troublemakers were taken care of. You bring me the heads of their leaders and I'll give you payment.
Tell me about this Gleaming Society.
Crazy pack of radicals that want to topple governments and kill the wealthy. Makes the War of Defiance look like a food fight. Duke Aver and the Regent of the Red Sailors both declared them illegal, which is probably the only thing these two would agree on. Or would have before all the murder and mayhem in Defiance Bay. He frowned, scratching the back of his neck. Anyway, check Longwatch Falls to the east. That's where they were last seen.
Who leads this Sisterhood of the Slaked Skull?
That'll be Mescla. All the members of the Sisterhood worship Barath by sending as many folk back to the wheel as they can. He shivers. I've been poking around Durgan's battery and Will only knows why. But you can understand why no one around here is pleased to hear about it. Passed through town recently, didn't stay long, but they stopped at the Temple of Andra. You might see if Laughter knows something. If you come across them, be careful. They're unpredictable. So getting a couple bounties and another side quest from this guy. We got lots of shit to do, folks. Lots of shit to do.
Campfire!
The work of a moment.
Not worth it.
They gone? I heard the ogres outside, tearing down walls and murdering folk. Don't remember how things got this bad.
The elderly woman needs her hands. Her knuckles are swollen knobs and her palms are rigid with calluses that scrape and rasp as she rubs them together.
But you're the new adventurer. Renengild's latest volunteer.
She squints at you, leaning precariously forward on her wobbling legs.
A real spitfire, she told me. Bet you'd whip those layabouts at the mine into shape.
I'd like to ask you about something.
Did you say something, dear?
Tell me about yourself, death bitch.
Me? I was the overseer at the mine, back when it was running. Got shut down decades ago when we couldn't sell or ship the stuff. But I still remember plenty about the mining business. And I got as many folk as I can digging out the entrance.
She taps her head, a spotted dome under a thinning thatch of hair.
Been praying to the salty wench that I don't forget too much afore they finish the job.
She winks.
Got to speak up? My hearing ain't what it was.
Fuck this lady. I'm gonna push her in the fire.
Got to speak up?
I guess we don't get much from her.
Well,
for now, anyhow. Brown cow. Let's see, I think we've quested a lot. I kind of want to leave and just go kill something, though, so that's what I'm going to do.
Feels like it's hardly worth putting the huts back up.
Better than standing out here shivering.
At least you made it here in one piece. Farah lost her wagon and crew. Where'd that fucking chicken shit fishery guy go? Is this him down here? No. Rengil does her best, but there's not much work outside of the fishery. At least you made it. Yeah.
Shh. As you wish.
Actually, we're running low on time. I do want to go inside the temple just because we haven't been there. And we'll see what's up with Akram's stuff here. But we haven't talked to this laughter person yet. Ooh, pretty in here. Andra's swordsman and Andra's shieldsman. Questicles, Spellweaver, Laughter. Alright, we better make some saves. We want to try to do the evilest of evils that we can here, so... we'll do a backup save here. That's been a while. And let's get another one. Veins course under this woman's pale skin like icy fissures, yet when she speaks, her voice flows warm and soothing. Andra welcomes you into her embrace. Her features soften to a look of practiced compassion. We're here to ease the pain of your past, ready to take your burdens. With a thin smile, she nods. If you let the goddess help with your hardships, of course.
Tell me about Andra.
Andra's the goddess of redemption, deep like an ocean and gentle as a mother. She's here to relieve her children of the darkest burdens. We came here to aid the villagers, to heal the wounds of the past that fester in their souls.
I thought Andra was the goddess of loss and mourning, not redemption.
That's, The priestess crosses her arms and shifts her weight. Common notion. Others may believe so, but the goddess's mysteries are profound. Her true power lies in redeeming your loss and regret.
I want to know about the gift bearers.
Gift bearers do Andra's most valued work. They carry the material burdens of the unfortunate souls into her embrace so that the goddess may help them forget.
I heard that worshippers of Barath visited here recently.
Little happens around here that doesn't end in the mouths of villagers, but we're obliged to assist everyone regardless of faith. A group of women came to us. Yes, their leader wanted to know of Durgan's battery. I obliged and pointed them in that direction. They left as quietly as they arrived, which didn't make us any less concerned about their true intentions. This place has grown dangerous enough already.
I want to ask you about Akron's heirloom.
The dwarf already asked. We gave him the counsel he needed. Slight irritation sharpens in her tone. She seems to catch herself, modulating her voice back to its pleasant timbre. And naturally, we'll do what we can for you, too. Ask what you will.
He wants his medallion back, bitch.
She brings out her hands together and nods. Ah, Okran, how often we let the shadows of past become a burden even to others. That medallion, it weighs on Okran's mind. You're kind to help, but what he really needs is to cast away those memories.
No right to appeal, then? How convenient.
It's not like that. The regret that consumes Okran is plain for anyone to see. The priestess studies you a moment. His belongings, his past, now rest in Andra's realm, to be forgotten so that the wounds of the soul may heal. This is the will of the goddess.
The will of the mortals or gods has never stopped me before.
Lefta's expression breaks and she takes a step back. Her cohorts reach for their weapons. She immediately raises her hand. No, we have nothing to fear. The ripples in her voice quickly calm. There's no need to quarrel over the mysteries of the goddess's will. I can tell you what you wish to know. Alcrin's heirloom was taken by Ixtil, chosen gift-bearer among us, to be cast away as an offering to Andra. Only he knows where. You could ask him yourself, but he's on a trek through the mountains of Durgan's Battery. If you run into Ixtili, tell him he's urgent duties to attend here.
It's hard to believe that only the gift-bearers know where Andra's offerings are cast away.
Is it? Our goddess frees us from the earthly burdens. It's best if only one of us knows where they are taken, lest we all end up suffering under their weight.
Tell me about your gift-bearer.
Ixtili had business near Durgan's Battery. These mountains are dangerous. If you insist upon carrying out this request of Alcrin's, then that's where I'd search for the answers.
I think you're full of shit.
A young man dressed in sturdy leather glares at you. The creases in his face, tanned despite the scarce sunlight of the region, suffer a slight twitch as you approach him. I've got nothing for you. Speak with laughter if you must. He turns away, his nose wrinkled.
That's because I farted.
Well?
Wow, you guys are dumber than Lug Lug.
As
Alright, so we got some interesting stuff to do. As you step outside, the heavy wooden door of the temple slams shut behind you. You hear someone barring it from the other side. It sounds like the priests have engaged in agitated conversation. You get the sense that they are discussing you, but you're also certain that the door is too thick to eavesdrop. Although, there may be other places nearby where you stand a better chance. The wooden shutters of the temple's window close tight, muffle a set of voices coming from within the building. You can't quite make sense of the murmur, but cracking a shutter open would likely help. A rusty iron latch holds the window's shutters closed. With care, you should be able to unfasten it without being noticed. You carefully begin to lift the latch from its metal hook. Halfway there, the rusted iron resists with a screech. You freeze, listening to voices in hopes the priest didn't hear. Their conversation continues uninterrupted. Pour some oil on it. You grab the latch and apply just the right amount of oil, nudging the metal until the rust gives way without sound. Carefully, you pull the window shutters open enough to let the voices flow through.
Let it flow! Let it flow!
You hear a man speaking, his tone agitated.
You do that. Hope the mountains will do it. What if His
sentence cuts out as if the man were speaking to all sides of the room.
Suppose he tells them instead. What then?
You recognize Lata's voice responding. Why would he? And with all those dangers near the battery, our gift bearers won't delay. I expect the...
Man interrupts her. You always expect. Look where it's taken us. A dying village. Ogres at the walls. Ixtili's not back yet, and now I have to do his
His voice drops and ceases, muffling what he has to say. After a moment, Lata replies. Do you think that's what I wanted? That I could have known in advance? A pause ensues, and tension growing until the priestess' voice cuts it in half. We can't wait for him. We must fish out the last batch quickly. After that, we'll decide. The man responds in a broken voice, barely audible. You only distinguish the last words.
In that rusted wood pond I'll go.
Their exchange seems to end. Cautiously, you step away from the window of Andra's temple. Russet wood pond lingers in your mind.
Something shady going on here. Lug Lug can smell it.
what is it?
Ha, that's what I get for asking directions in the middle of nowhere. Say, I don't suppose you've seen any mysterious old buildings in the mountains lately, have you?
The Amuwa wears an assortment of bangles, bands, cuffs, and chains as thick as armor. She watches you with raised eyebrow and eyes gleaming with mirth.
You mean Durgan's Battery?
No, but I've heard that name a lot around here. I'm looking for the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. It's an obscure temple dedicated to Andra.
Why are you looking for that?
I'm a gift bearer. My job is to gather tokens of things people want forgotten and surrender them to the Lady of Lament.
Interesting.
Best place to do that is the Abbey of the Fallen Moon.
What kind of tokens do you take?
Anything that represents a moment or a memory someone wishes to leave behind. Well, love notes, awkward family heirlooms, bad poetry, the kinds of things you want to forget.
I see.
I might be here a while. Half the villagers have never heard of the Abbey, and the ones that have, no one knows where it is. So I'm trying to think of this as an extended holiday in a remote mining village that smells like fish.
I've got business in the region. We could travel together.
You won't regret it. I've got a lovely singing voice, and the company's welcome.
She winks at Pelagina.
Uh-oh, I think she likes the taco. Too bad you're going back to my stronghold now. Bye-bye.
We need to get some of these damn Questicles done so we can pick up all the other party members. The problem is I don't want to use anyone else. I'm attached to my current party.
Me and Sledge are thinking about heading down, joining a caravan over to Dawning.
Dawning? What for? You like your ogres bigger?
We'd have work at least, and I'm damn sick of fish.
He must be into sausage.
Let's take a gander around. Well, this is the whole map of Stelward Village. So hop on over to Russetwood real quick. See what kind of trouble we can get into in a couple minutes. Oh, so it's time to trade out our dog. He's been wandering around with us quite a lot. Come at me, bro. It's time for Astral Pig.
My name is Lug Lug. Uh-oh, fuck, run! Ice beetles.
Sometimes it's worth it. Ronstock charmed the shit out of these guys. Still on our team. The Rose of Salt Hollow heals Lug Lug for 5. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Oh, nice. That's right. 20% of the damage restored is endurance. It's a sick weapon. Alright folks, wanted to give you a little taste of action. Before we wrap this video up, I may head back into town to tie up some things. Or actually I might head way back to Defiance Bay to get some damn gems so I can do some enhancements. But either way, Looking forward to some comments below. All 300 by Mr. Satan. See you soon.